The Monty and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
That. Buff,
Here's
a perfect example. And I'm going to read something from a fan, and this is a perfect example where you can shed light to the fan to clear up maybe some nonsense or maybe explain it, okay? One fan, Biggs Bosfetti, very nice gentleman, but he wrote, when Sting became a Christian, he was known for snitching on pro wrestlers who were cheating on their wives, and him and his wife would call those wrestlers' wives. Did you ever hear of something like that? And like you know Sting. So this is a great way to tell the fans this is a wrong rumor to be passed around, if in actual it is, right?
Well, I will tell you this: what I do know is that Sting was really, really big, and he had and keep in mind, I'm not God, I'm not Jesus, and I sure as hell didn't write the Bible. So I can tell you that Sting was dead set on. You have to tell all of your sins to be sin free. That's not true. You have to ask God for forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
You have to believe that Jesus Christ died on the cross for your sins at the age of 33, and God give his only begotten Son to die on that cross for your sins, and you are to believe in that. If you do in your heart and your soul that nobody else knows, only God and him, you know. But if you know that, then you know that's how it's supposed to be. But Sting was really caught up in wanting to tell everything he done wrong, and I mean to the point where his wife would his mother would call up and say, please, just don't, just drop it, let it go, let it go. And we know you're a great guy and we love you, but just you're killing her, and let's just move on with life. And so that's the part. Like we'd be talking like this, and I could see the look in his face. Like where he remembered something. And I'd go, oh shit. I'd go, no, Steve, don't, man, don't. And he'd get straight up, straight to a payphone before cell phones, and he'd call up and he'd tell. He'd tell on, but I'd never heard of anything about telling on other people. That's nothing like Sting would ever do, nothing. But telling on himself is a way that he felt like he could cleanse his system and be in the Lamb's Book of Life and let God know that he meant well and wanted God to know that he meant well. And he became a great witnesser and a great Christian. And Sting to this day is that, all of those things. Steve Borden is one of the best friends I've ever had in my life, and he's one of the most honest people in the world. But there was no telling him he didn't have to do that. But he was just he was convinced he had to come clean with everything, and all it did was just cause a bunch of shit, and it didn't need to. And it wasn't what you're saying. It wasn't like calling other wrestlers' wives, and I never heard any of those rumors. That's Rumor City. It was all just Sting. It was just Sting trying to get his life straight and get on the right page with God. And you can't blame a person in the world for doing that. And that's the only thing that I've ever heard him doing.
What is your take on Shawn Michaels, as far as he's fairly well known now to be a man of Christ? Any thoughts on Shawn? Because we know how he was to a lot of people in the locker room back in the day. I know you didn't probably get a chance to really see anything of Sean because Vince fucked up and didn't keep you around. But that's just my opinion.
Right.
Any
But,
thoughts
to
on
be
Shawn
honest with
Michaels?
to be honest with you, Sean, it's none of it's true. My father taught me a long time ago to believe nothing you hear and only half of what you see. And I'm telling you, that sounds crazy. But if you do that for a whole year and you believe nothing you hear and you believe only half of what you see, at that year's end, I promise you, you'll be pretty close to even, bro.
Anyway, with Phil Brooks, I'm trying to.
His name is not Phil Brooks, it's CM Punk. How many times do I have to repeat this to you? I'm sick of time. What the hell's that?
I don't know.
I think somebody's at the door.
You can't even film stuff without people knocking.
Well, that's the way of the world.
Who is it?
But don't start personally insulting me.
Huh?
But don't start personally insulting me.